Bienvenue sur Impulse Radio, la radio qui vous apporte tout le programme nécessaire pour vous informer sur l'Afrique. Aujourd'hui, on est reçu en Afrique du Sud par une légende, un mythe vivant, Monsieur NDEMASE. I don't know if I pronounce it nice, but the man is here. So, on est reçu bien sûr dans son institution qui s'appelle SAFDA, dans South African Designer Association. And thank you to have welcome us in such a, I don't know how to describe that because, when you speak to a myth, a legend, you say goosebumps. I don't know, chair de poule in French.
Oui, merci.
Yes. So thank you, Mr. NDEMASE. Thank you to have taken this time for us. Thank you to also give us a tour of your atelier. Yeah, that was wonderful. The history behind. We come prepared with questions, but after such a tour, there's more question coming.
Oh, please.
There's more question coming. So, how are you today first? Let's start with the basic.
Thank you very much for coming into our stable of creativity where the best of the best is being made and created here. This is the home of the best legends, and my name is Sonwable NDEMASE, and thank you very much for having me. Merci beaucoup.
De rien.
My day is still early to tell, and because you came earlier in African terms. Africans, when you say 8:30, they will come at 10 o'clock. So you must give them 7 o'clock. But it's good that I'm not black like you. I'm dark and lovely.
And we really enjoy your sense of humor, You show us how life can, bring us to the most happiest moment of our life through a wonderful achievement and career. That's why our first question will go straight to the point. And, you added something that no one knew. And everybody asked the question, how did you come to be in the circle of the elite, of this Mr., the man that all young Africans see as an icon, Mr. Nelson Mandela?
I should think the question should have been turned around to say, how did these people happen to be around me?
Let's be correct.
Not the other way around. How did I happen to be with them?
Yes.
But anyway, answering your question is that most of the time, I always believe that we are all unique in our own space, but it's the fear of the unknown that always precedes into ourselves that makes us inferior. Everywhere God made us unique, and it is that uniqueness that once you know that if you believe in a religion that says God made us all equal before his eyes, thereafter you will never fear anything thereafter. Anybody that you see, you don't treat him differently than the creativeness of God. That particular person is in that particular position temporarily, not permanently. Therefore, if we know that all what we are doing is temporal, we will then expand and do our duties. Therefore, when I get into a room of any other person, I know that I'm unique. And that particular person as well must know that he is unique at his own space, because he wouldn't be there if I was not here.
Exactly.
So we make each other. We have got a term that is said, umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. You are because of other people. You cannot be a man on an island. Therefore, that's how then I happen to be around them, because wherever I see them, I go direct to them, because I believe you wouldn't be where you are if ever then I was not existing. Once I'm still alive, you will be still accountable to me as I'm accountable to you.
Yeah, I hope that listener, you took it well and very profound, because that is something that the new generation lack of this confidence and acknowledgement of the purpose
Thank you.
and who they are. And that is said by someone who lived his life at the fullest, who basically acknowledged his gift from young age, secure, like you say, to be there because I should be there, not because you let me be there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is very well said. Moving on to the next question is about the achievement in terms of the idea, the process. Many people believe that art in Africa, you know, when you speak to our parent and say, I want to be a designer, it's not a concept that we, especially in this time, people are familiarizing themselves with. They always wish to have a doctor, an advocate, a scientist. How you pass this stage with your parents? Let's start there. What did you do so that your parents believe in you?
Like I said that in the beginning that we are born unique in our own space. If to become a creative person, I always believe that you are somebody who then is given a talent. And that talent, you need not to put it under the ground and then wait for it to emerge to something else. You have to use it. All of us were given that creative mind. We have to occupy a part of state and the stage in our own living. As one other writer once said, we are all actors in this world of ours. So you play your role, and after playing your role, and then you get up. So that's the same thing that I had to do with my parents. My parents never, at the beginning, believed in this creative art that it will make me to be the person that I am now today. They thought that the best way I would needed to be a lawyer, I needed to do all other things. And unfortunately, because creative people, it's like a calling, what we do. Because we don't just wake up and do it. Mm-hmm. It is something that is in you like a sangoma, prophesizing. Because you see future where people don't see it. Yes. And that's what creative, even in music, people will, any creative person, so to speak, actually in any genre, whatever you might do, even in my own, it's the same thing that I just believe that there is a calling that God wanted me to do. And that calling was one. If then I take it to Genesis, when Adam and Eve started to sin, God was the first one to create clothing for these people using the leaves.
Exactly.
So,
how far you go?
So immediately, in a society that we are living in, we cannot be naked. Once you walk on the street and being naked, you are taken to jail, or they say that you are insane, you are not right in your mind. So, in a nutshell, I am in that space of making the point that I'm clothing people and making them look believable that they are perfect.
But that means that, sir, you have also this capacity on knowing what match personality and what will create such make this person in a position of dignification. Like, how does it come? This is a process that I want. How does it work in a creative mind of yours?
In a creative mind, it's very much, I would say it becomes easy once on other people is not. First and foremost, all of us, we are creative. Even the man on the street is very creative. What then happened is the how part that I close the gap into. Because most of the time, the people coming to me, they know exactly how they would like to see themselves. Only me that is supposed to close the how. Because we'll sit together and advise. The first thing that happened is that's why they call us creative people, we are liars.
Yes, the best one.
Yes, and it is true. We are. Sometimes we take recognition at the space of an individual because the client comes in knowing exactly that how his house he wants it to be. But the only thing that he doesn't know is where to put the toilet.
Wow. So that leads us to your creation
Yes.
with Mr. Madiba.
Yes.
How was the first meeting in terms of design? I want to know, did you come with the design or you had a session?
No, we had a session. Madiba actually, the late president, Adalipounga, may his soul rest in peace. What then normally happened is that the client comes into you or you go to the client. And in this case, when I have to meet Madiba, I met Madiba, which is Nelson Mandela, through Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, because she is the one who invited me to come and meet the president then, Nelson Mandela. When I get into the house, to cut the long story short, is that I had to meet with him because he then was briefed that I am the one who used to be dressing the family before he was released.
Oh.
Therefore, when I sat down with him, he gave me the brief. The brief was that he needed something that when he dressed it up, he can be in a position when he goes to the masses, he must look presentable. And when he goes and meet the captains of the industry, that is the economist,
yes,
he must also meet them in the same format. They must not look down onto him. You know, then I had to bridge the haves and have-nots and make him look presentable in between. And then we sat down and then we talked about that. And then I presented him an array of looks that I decided that I believed that he will be comfortable with. And also one of the things that people do not understand is that when Madiba was released from prison, when I say Madiba, then I mean Nelson Mandela. When he was released, he already was not in good condition health-wise. And therefore, whilst other people looked at him and thinking that he was idolizing the look that he was setting up a new trend.
Yes.
Contrarily, it was for his health purpose.
Wow.
Because clothes as well, most of the time, they play a role into other people's health in the manner in which you dress, and also the colors that you wear, they also enhance your health and your purpose in life. When people looking at you, they start so, wow. And in the meantime, they don't know what you're going through inside. Yes. Because clothes, they make it the man.
I see this picture of you, very young man, but I like your backup when you say you knew who you were from the beginning. But can you share the condition, the mental condition when it gave you, say, you do it for me? How do you feel?
I felt like a child in the candy shop. You know what you get when you get into the candy shop as a child, you get into seeing all those kind of sweets and what if you don't know what to take, and then but contrarily inside, you know that you cannot afford all those sweets that you're saying. That's how then I felt when then I had to be in the midst of this man. And he started narrating the story of how he lived in Robben Island. That to me, I'm telling you, I was brought back to my childhood. I felt like crying even at the time that I was looking at him, because it was like a dream come true. It's that situation whereby you find yourself in heaven before time. And you are saying all your sins are forgiven. And then you say, oh, my goodness me, in the nutshell, I did not do anything. So that's how I felt. I was trembling in front of this particular man. And when he says, go ye then and do your work and come back and present to me.
So I think the feelings should have been at one point mutual between Mr. Madiba and you in terms of the exchange, him with his background, you with your background. And after that, you have the brief, go back there and work on the project and bring the final project. What did you feel at this point Mr. Madiba felt?
Well, the other thing that was a plus for me is that we came from the same family, so to speak.
Okay.
I used then the kinship for us to be in a position of connecting because he knew my family. Because the Ndamasas are also from the kingdom of Enyande. So that I used as well. But then when I started to bring up the project and the product to him, and then I saw him starting to dress accordingly. And then I started to see him say, oh, are you the Pondo? How did you know that this thing will fit me? And you have managed to do me good. Thank you.
Wow.
I appreciate your work, my son.
And at this moment, inside you,
I knew that I could be pregnant in front of being a man. The child inside me was jumping and I had running tummy. Everything started to happen. But through him, there's one thing with Madiba. He can make you cool. He can start the whole conversation. He can read your mind. How, I do not know. Because he already put me at ease. So therefore, I was in a comfort of a father, of a man who knew how people will behave when they see him. He already made me to feel much more comfortable in that space.
Wow, that is a story. I think we all share that, even not being there, you know. But what I will also point in terms of the way you serve your elders, because in our generation today, we have the challenge of a black person serving with love and commitment another black person. And I would like to see your angle. How did you give so much commitment? And what will you say to a designer from the continent whose mission will be like yours to basically give an appearance to a leader? What will you say to them?
One of the things that I always believe will set us apart and will make it a point that we leave the best legacy is humbleness. We as people that are creative, we need not to live like prima donnas, live above than who we are. Let us be realistic about ourselves. And it is also good for each and every creative person to plow back. Your legacy will live more if you as a person, you give back to your community. It is not by fluke that you become who you are. As long as you know where you are coming from, you will know where you are going to. And therefore, we as creative people around the world, wherever you are sitting now, learn one thing. You are not on your own. You are who you are because of certain people who are buying your product. How do you make it a point that people buy more of your product? Be the face of the reality of who you are. By doing what? Go back to your community. Help them. By helping them, you are not letting them to copy you. You are letting them to multiply you.
And that you can see on your work, because you've been here in your atelier, your workshop, and you can see what you live and what you create every day. You've been everywhere. We saw picture of people that are part of the book of the world, but you still came back home. Make sure that you have a legacy. Make sure that a young South African, a young African have a point of starting, because I think that is what we lack of today. We lack of idol, we lack of image or mentor, we lack of honesty. Yes. So that will lead us to the second question. In terms of, did you think about Africa when you realized the boom? Because we saw how your shirt make Madiba be recognized from distance. As a young African, was it part of the dream of African man? Was it? How did you express yourself in terms of the size of your creation? How did you take it?
One of the things that came to being on my side is the overwhelming of how Madiba was, as a president, was welcomed by the world.
Yes.
And then the image of how he is and how he stands among the other statesmen, because he was very much individual.
Exactly.
And people could identify him because of his shirts that I created.
You did.
And then the next phase was, for me, how do I reach out into our own other African brothers and sisters? I then went to one of the institutions and do a mentorship program that was called then RAFTA, which is Red African Fashion Designers Awards. With that, I had to go to almost about 5 to 6, 8 countries and mentoring the young and upcoming designers in our neighboring African states. And I said, we as well as people in the South, in the African continent, and we are living at the roots of Africa. Therefore, we need to start spreading our wings to our neighbors and exchange our talents. And how do we do that? Is by virtue of exposing what I know and also asking them that even whatever country you are living in, we're not a small country because of your talent. Otherwise, if we live on these things of me and me ego, it's not going to take us anywhere. This is where then the international world capitalizes on and uses us as a muse in terms of grabbing what we do, and they go and multiply it in China, in everywhere, and then they claim it is the new look for new Africa. And guess what? We buy it because we can relate into that particular product, and in the meantime it's patent elsewhere, and they've claimed it, but it is ours. How do we do that? We let the world steal from us, and we are not doing anything from that. It is time for us to wake up.
Yes, we as Impulse see you as a pioneer of African fashion, a gift given to the world, because it seems to be easy, but during your time, I think the West was dominating in terms of their fashion.
Thank you.
And you came with dressing one of the most influential and powerful men in this world planet.
Indeed.
And you stick on your root. Tell me the secret. Because otherwise, others will have chosen the easy path to make it look like or similar to, but you gave it an identity.
That's why when we believe into what we call originality, who you are, where you're coming from, the going to is sometimes history. People do not know that we are all given a unique talent. We have a story to tell to the entire world. And that story is originality. But what makes us and set us apart is that we want to copy, because we believe whatever the Europeans are saying unto us is the best. Speaking English is not the best of it all. Speak your own original language, and people must ask you, what do you mean by this? It's where they are going to buy in, because they're buying in from you, not from them. So now, whenever I take my garments anywhere, I have a story to tell. And then they listen to the story. That's all what I'm selling.
It's yours.
Because it's mine, and it's mine alone.
So we go into the end of this interview, and we like your words to the African fashion industry, to the other aspiring designer or designer. What is your words to them?
One of the major things that I would ask our young and upcoming designers, there's nothing wrong in dreaming, but there's everything in waking up from your dream and do what you believe in. And anything that you are doing, it's not gonna happen overnight. If you look at my age, you will think that I'm still young. But if you look at my work that I've done, is the one that create my age. Therefore, there is nothing like overnight success. You need to work and believe on what you are doing, and the rest is history. People will buy from what you do believe in. If I've made my own country president, all of them, I dressed all of them. And I've sat and I've dined with them. But a boy coming from the rural area, but then mushroomed and stay and dine with the kings and queens of all international and also in America. I also received the proclamation of the city of Atlanta. They proclaimed that 13th of March is Vukani Day. Where the word Vukani means wake up. It was also a word that I have to come up, which is a Nguni word that says Vuka, Vukani as a plural, that we need to wake up. So I'm saying, Africa, that is your time to wake up. Young people, this is your platform. Use it. We are here to support, to mentor you, to hold you by hand. Where you have got difficulties, ask from us. We've been there. We've tasted. We know how things happen.
Yes.
But you can know it better because technology now has taken over. And you are there. We are there.
For them. That is that.
For you.
To close the question, to close this wonderful, because there's too much to ask, you
Indeed.
know. But unfortunately, you have to keep it short. You are a busy man. And but we would like to come back to have a full document about you. So we are in the stage of the emancipation of African design. And today, Africa is booming. And like I said, we see you as one of the pioneers who make young Africans believe in themselves and push their agenda, as you say. And you see, the message that you gave today is very profound and strong, because you speak about legacy. You speak about also knowing who you are from the young age and not let someone telling who you are. That's why I like the fact that you say, no, how did they meet me? Because that was very inspiring for me. So to close this question, what is the next step for Mr. NDEMASE?
My next step, which is actually, it's a futuristic step that I'm looking into, is that to see us as African people, not me as a person, but us collectively as African people, starting to collaborate and work with each other, because the pie is too big. And if then we let other people to cut our own pie, we'll end up with the crumbs. It is time for us to wake up. My dream is that to see that how best we can collaborate with each other and start using all these MOUs that we put ourselves as African continent, agreeing on economic exchange. Where is art sitting? in all that? Where is us? I keep on talking about us, not where is me. This thing of me, and I, it does not work, Africa. We need to collaborate. We need to exchange each other's creative and make it a point that what might not work in my country can work in another country, and what is not working in your country can work in my country. And how do we exchange that? Let's exchange our people as well, our designers. I have young and upcoming designers that actually I'm imparting my knowledge into through an accredited, education from FPNM SETA, which is one of our SETAs in South Africa. But how do I take that and make it available in other countries? And all these people are also looking for all things that are credible. That is my future of saying, guys, let's work with each other. Let's not work against each other. Yes, together we prosper, but individually we'll fight a battle that takes us nowhere.
Thank you, Mr. NDEMASE, for your time. You heard it from the legend, the myth. But we are with him. You had a beautiful time, and we hope that you had a good time with us. And see you next time, of course, on Impulse Radio Africa. And as you hear, it's time for Africa to wake up and to have a lot of Mandelas and a lot of Mr. NDEMASE who serve Africa to the greatest. Thank you.